Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of StarSound Speaks. This is your host, Irlianna Samsara, with episode 275. So, lots to talk about today. This is about our now arrived solar eclipse in Libra. And even if you are listening to this after the solar eclipse has taken place, please know that this information applies to a broad area. It's going to be resonating out for many, many months. So yeah, pull up a chair, listen up, and we'll dive right in. Okay, so in this episode, I'm going to talk about first some tips about the eclipse, about how to best navigate any eclipse, my best advice. And the second thing is past cycles, where this particular eclipse series has happened in the past. And so we can see a resonance. And then the houses, the last part of this talk is going to be about where this eclipse will land in your natal chart. So where you will be seeing transformation and breakdowns, breakthroughs. Okay, before we get started, just some announcements. By the way, the biggest, most happy news for me today is that today I hit the 1,000 mark. So thanks to you all. So very, very grateful to all of you wonderful listeners, viewers, supporters, all my wonderful guests, family, viewers, family, guests. Very, very grateful through these years. This is actually we're a few days from my 5th anniversary being on the air. And I posted it on the community page if you want to read, about that. So moving right along. So we, and also just if you're new to the channel and you've not seen my work, my name's Irlianna and I practice traditional Western tropical astrology using whole sign houses and traditional traditional rulerships. And I am also, I blend modern archetypes with that too. I am available for private sessions as well as workshops and retreats, happily going back to that, yay. So we're very excited to be offering all that. My next one is going to be coming up next month in Florida, a one-day private retreat, getting my feet wet, but just one day, but it's going to be really, really awesome. So if you're interested, just shoot me an email, irlianna@starsoundastrology.com, and we can direct you to all the cool information. Okay, anyway, so let's move on. Tips for the eclipse. Number one, especially, I'm going to gear it exactly to this one. You want to give, the ruler, this is a South Node eclipse. So South Node eclipse in Libra, this is about past karmic endings, about things being released. K2, the dragon's tail. Right? The South Node is always, it's what is being released. And that can also refer to some karmic patterns, things from the past. Sometimes it's also about things coming, major endings and major beginnings, which is true of any eclipse, but things from the past that come back, but in a new way. So different from the past. It's from the past, but the way in which it happens now is newer, in a new way, excuse me. All right. Anyway, so this is a South Node solar eclipse in Libra. Libra connects with our relationships, our intimate relationships, marriage, partnerships, diplomacy, equality, compromise, agreements. What we are moving away from or releasing is patterns that we've been in those areas where we have been, where we are ready to move away from. So this eclipse will show us. Eclipses are always about concealing and revealing. So the sun is literally blocked out. It's an annular solar eclipse. The sun is blocked out for a few minutes. And when the luminaries go down, of course, there is some revelation. There's something in front of us that's right in front of us, but we can't see it. So that is what an eclipse shows us. Hey, there's something that we need you to see in order for you to evolve your consciousness. Okay, so in this particular one, so I want to just say, give yourself lots of room. Venus is the ruler of this eclipse. She is in Virgo for this particular solar eclipse. Virgo is not the place where Venus likes to be. It's not the easiest place for her, but what it does speak to is to rest, revel in nature, be around plants, be in the forest, embody, enjoy the earth, enjoy healthy food, give yourself a lot of space, give yourself healthy food to process, be in self-care, because when you think about it, eclipses are a disruption in space-time. As my friend, my late friend, Renee Liotto, one of my first astrologer teachers, used to say, is that eclipses bring magical, incongruous, nonlinear change. And I always bring that up every time we have an eclipse episode, because I think it's just so awesome. So thank you, Renee. And they do, and that's what they're designed for. So it can be very chaotic. And so we just know that the next 2 weeks, enormous amount of instability, that's normal. That's why you really always want to give yourself time. Don't make any decisions, anything that needs to be lasting change, just not anything long-term. Just let it simmer, let the eclipse do its work, and then the smoke and Sturmumdrang, as they say in German, will clear, and then we'll be able to see more clearly once the eclipses pass. I would say give yourself maybe a good week or two after the eclipse. So you figure middle of November, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, October 28th, it'll give you plenty of time. Okay, the other thing I want to say is, so to me, it's like, I think about a Class 6 rapids. If you've ever seen those Grand Canyon canoe trips, not canoe, sorry, whitewater rafting, and they go through these times where it's Class 6 rapids. It's super scary, right? And that's kind of like going through an eclipse. But then there's moments where it's very calm, and you think, oh wow, that's great, I got the lesson, it's over, yay, I got the lesson, I'm ahead of time, and I'll just skate through the next 10 days. And it's like, no. Because then something else comes up, right? You're going through another part of the rapids, and then you kind of go through that quiet, and then something else comes up. So just know that that's the design of an eclipse. So that knowing that, we can navigate, and we're prepared, we're better prepared. So anyway, but like I said, breathing, nature, very important. Okay, let's mention the past cycles before we get into the last part of this talk, which is where it will land in your chart. We're going to talk about past cycles. Where has the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries been in previous cycles? So it's about every 18.6 years, the nodes cycle around again. So if we go back 18.6 years for each and every cycle, we will find a resonance. So the last time we had a South Node eclipses in Libra and North Node in Aries was December of 2004 to June of 2006. Then again in May of 1986 to December of 1987. And then previous to that, I'm only going to go back 3 cycles. So you can keep going if you want, just keep looking. You can go to astro.com or just call me up. I'll tell you exactly where it was. The previous cycle was in the late 60s. It was August of 1967 to April of 1969. So if you go back in time and you look at what happened, if you have a good memory and you can remember back and look at those things, you will see a pattern, a resonance about things regarding Libran things, relationships, agreements, and wherever that lands in your chart, you will see a resonance. Okay, where will this land in your chart? Well, we're going to go through all 12 zodiac signs, so you might want to listen. I'm going to do it for your rising sign because that's more accurate than your sun sign, because it's more relative to the time that you were born. However, you are certainly welcome to listen for your sun sign as well. That's also valid. And perhaps more than just your own, if you have friends and family and you know their rising sign, you could also listen for them and perhaps share that information. All right, so the South Node solar eclipse. Before I go into the exact houses, I also just want to say the Chandra symbol, which is a divinatory symbol for every sign of the zodiac, I really like most of the time, I like those delineations better than Dane Rudger's symbols. So I'm going to read you this one because I think it's really important, especially with Venus being in Virgo, the ruler of this eclipse. The symbol for this particular eclipse degree is called puppets coming alive at night. The inner worlds can be just as animated, as fully fleshed out, as vivid and vibrant as any outer world could ever hope to match. There are vast kingdoms to explore on the inner. It is all a matter of motivation. If you seek for inward substantiation, you will get it to infinity and beyond. Here, you get what you ask for. Everything snowballs. It tests you mightily in that everything inside comes out. A wish like magic becomes embodied. Being so fertile and ingenious is one of the most demanding possible arenas to put yourself in. Most difficult of all is that if you fear or dread, resist or deny, these too have full power to play themselves out all the way. The inner life becomes the place where everything is happening and where you must cultivate your highest and your best, or else be treated to the validation and proof of whatever you put in there, coming out again, amplified, magnified, completely full on. So with with Venus and Virgo being the ruler of this eclipse, that's really, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So this very important underscoring discernment, being very discerning with your words, be very discerning with your thoughts. Very discerning, right? So what is that? The words abracadabra, I create as I speak. I create as I think as well, I would offer perhaps as a corollary. So whatever we are using our brain for is going to be manifesting. So do it, with care. The ante has been upped. As we see in the world right now, the ante has been greatly upped. And by the way, I am dedicating this podcast to all the peoples in the world, especially in the war-torn areas in the Middle East, the Afghanistan earthquake, sending the highest divine truth and light. May it radiate out from the soul of every sentient being on the planet. And may all be blessed, Mother Earth, and all sentient beings be blessed and uplifted at the highest frequencies of light. And so it is. Okay, so moving on, the zodiac signs, right? So where does this land in your chart? All right, let's start with Libra. We're going to go zip over here to the screen, and I'm pulling up. This is our chart for the city of Washington, D.C. As we can see, it's in the solar eclipse is in the 10th house of government. No surprise. Kevin McCarthy getting fired, Steve Scalise getting nominated and then ducking out at the last minute. There's just a huge amount of, not ducking out, but just, dropping out of the consideration. Lots and lots of turmoil regarding government and government figures. Anyway, yes, very much so. In the ruler 9th house, legal system, right? So the lawmakers and such, there's a lot of criticism going on, and there's a lot of negotiations and such, and not to get into all that, but you can see how that is certainly playing out in the United States. So anyway, if you have, here we're going to start with, we can start with Capricorn rising. So if you have Capricorn rising, you have the eclipse is happening in your 10th house. So Capricorn rising, all you Cap risings out there, this represents, of course, the career, the house of your career and your public image. So there is major endings, major beginnings, a return to maybe how you did things from the past with your career and your reputation. There's old patterns in your approach to success or reputation being released. This is about the falling away of those old patterns to find a more balanced way and a more harmonious way of expression. And it might mean leaving behind, the 10th house is also your boss and career, authority figures. So it might be about leaving that what people expect of you in your career in order to embody and embrace going your own way and being your own person. And sometimes that means breaking away. And as Andrea Michelle said in the previous episode 274, which I highly recommend listening to. If you've listened to it already, listen to it again. There's incredible gems there. It's called Don't Go Back to Sleep. So yes, she gets into some really finely detailed nuances about this eclipse. And you'll definitely want to, excuse me, listen to that, about this whole notion about going your own way. And yes, it can feel lonely, but also to find that there is this invisible community, and that we magnetize when we stand in our truth and who we are, and being faithful to ourselves and our principles, that we find others of like mind, we automatically attract. So there's no having to go out to find them. That resonance automatically brings them in. But she goes into great detail, so I highly recommend listening to that one. So anyway, back to the 10th house, UCAP risings. We have to remember Venus is here it is, in the 9th house. And so what that means is, yes, this is the end of people pleasing, of compromising. Venus ruler of the 9th house, your joy involves new belief systems. Maybe a sense of, maybe it could also be about higher education or philosophy, new beliefs, perhaps going back to school, seeking higher education, or at least beliefs more in line with where your true self is headed. Okay, let's go to the videotape, as they used to say. Okay, so we're going to go to Aquarius. So we got Aquarius rising, and that is your eclipse is going to be in the 9th house. So this is major endings and beginnings with our spiritual beliefs. Higher learning, could be college, education, it could be religion or spirituality, finding a teacher. It could also be about travel, foreign cultures, long distance travel, moving. But you returning to these particular subjects and areas, there's perhaps a return in a new way to embody all of those things in a new way. Certainly, it speaks to releasing old belief systems that no longer serve, seeking a more balanced, fair-minded perspective with things, being respectful and diplomatic of others, but certainly honoring yourself, so you're not compromising yourself over, say, beliefs that others want you to believe. The ruler is in the 8th house, so that could involve right here maybe some secrets regarding shared resources or finances of other people's money. It can also speak to, it's tied in with maybe the debts that you owe or that others owe you, and that could be actual physical debts, like taxes and inheritance tax and things like that. But it could all credit card debt, but it could also be on a spiritual level, like a karmic debt that you owe or someone owes you. Okay, we are going on to Pisces rising. So Pisces rising, this is in your 8th house, and the ruler is going to be Venus is going to be in your 7th house of partnership. 8th house is other people's money. And so this house relates to transformation, shared resources, like the resources of your spouse or partner or business partner. This house can also, it's a difficult house. It's not seen by the ascendant, which is why it's considered a difficult house. It's kind of like that blind spot in your driver's mirror when you're driving your car. You can see behind you, you can see you're exactly to the side, you can see ahead, but there's that little oblique angle. And so that can be difficult. It can involve maybe a struggle about survival, or uncovering some deep unconscious patterns. Old patterns of control or obsession may need to be released to allow for a healthier approach to shared assets and intimate relationships. Venus in your 7th house of partnership, it might be about ending agreements with money agreements with your and finances or financial agreements or investors, capital, what do they call those things? Venture capitalists, all of that is very 8th housey. So this might involve your spouse or business partner or collaborations with others, clients, others having an effect or being part of that scenario. So it could be ending agreements to find a partnership and relationship that honors your own truth. Okay. Next, we have Aries. Aries rising. This will be in your 7th house of partnership and marriage, partnership, collaborations with others. And the ruler is in the 6th house in Virgo. And so Aries rising. This certainly, these are cardinal eclipses when you've got these 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. These are major changes. They're initiatory. They're taking things in a whole new direction. So for Aries, all you Aries risings, old patterns of long-term committed relationships, of marriages, of partnerships clients fall away. The old patterns give way. There's a reset button here. It's asking you to it's a very dynamic changing up. So this could speak to patterns of codependency or unbalanced relationships. This is about finding more harmony in your partnerships. And sometimes that means leaving how you are being. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a divorce or leave your partner, but but you could. But it also could be about just leaving behind the way in which you have operated in that partnership. So it's incorporating more of your true self rather than, say, South Node in the 7th, not being under somebody else's guise. Like, let's say you were married to a celebrity, you were married to like Meryl Streep. It's like, do you know Meryl Streep's husband? No, he's very much in the background. She's the one that's right. So it's like the other person being really, really big and prominent. And maybe that can bring about not feeling like you're the equality, there. Now, there's some people that are very happy. I mean, they've been married, 30, 40 years, but that idea of whatever needs to change and transform, that's where it's going to be. That's where the action is. So this could involve with the ruler in the 6th house, which is like the day job. Maybe this involves a change in your day job or how you serve or where you serve, especially if you're working in like a healthcare capacity with Venus and Virgo in the 6th. That could speak to hospitals, healthcare, food service, craft work, craftsmanship like carpentry and things, worker bee things, even say massage therapists. So the various places where that transformation might show up. Okay, the next Taurus rising, this is going to be in your 6th house. 6th house is health and work routines, co-workers, your workplace, your day job. So this is like releasing old habits related to overworking or neglecting self-care. In the ancient astrology, the 6th house was considered that it ruled slavery. Well, I hated saying that, but those are the days they had slaves. So it's where you feel like you're overworked and not appreciated. So there's some kind of breakthrough available by letting go of these old patterns. With Venus in the 5th house, the old job gives way to a new job, involves creative projects, maybe around health or healing, service, nature, nurseries, plants, the opportunity to release the struggle around creative projects, around even children. Finding joy in planning creative projects could be very much a thing here. The ability to have grounded conversations with your children, if you have children. Okay, next we go to Gemini rising. Gemini rising, this will be in your 5th house. And the 5th house, this eclipse could focus on creativity, children, romance, dating, sex, hooking up, self-expression that way, releasing old patterns in how you approach or your conversations, your story that you have around pleasure and enjoyment of life and self-indulgence, and being maybe feeling like there's some caution involved to create a more balanced and joyful life. You might find returning to romance, but like I said, with South Node Libra, coming back, but in a different way. You might, with the ruler in the fourth, you might be leaning on family members for support. Okay, the next one is Cancer rising. And Cancer rising, it's in the angular fourth. So all of the angular, if you have a rising sign that's angular, these are going to be very important. Ouch, my foot is falling asleep. Self-care. All right, so Cancer rising, the blind spots that are going to be revealed to you are about family and home life, right? Fourth house, and releasing past family dynamics. Maybe it's about the need to save face, where's peace at all costs, all like toxic family patterns. Balanced and a harmonious living situation depends upon you being you in your family, you expressing yourself, going your own way. The ruler is in the third house, so maybe the access to the breakthroughs would be about problem solving, detailed, practical, real solution-based conversations with your relatives, your siblings, your neighbors. Okay, the next is Leo rising. This is going to be in your third house of siblings, neighbors, cousins, in-laws, relatives, communications, learning, the patterns and the way in which we learn, how we communicate. So that's where all the breakdowns, breakthroughs are going to happen. It's just falling away of these old patterns, a reset button, finding what it is that is being revealed to us in the solar eclipse, dropping this facade of, you know, with Libra, the dark side of Libra is like, oh, this glamour, the shallow vanity, surface glamour, like everything's fine, everything's fine. And this will give you an opportunity to build really profound, intimate relationships with people by dropping that facade, especially in the areas of, you know, how we communicate, being real, being authentic, certainly with our siblings, neighbors, and cousins, or just, you know, networking, the marketplace, people in general, how we market, how we present ourselves. So old thought patterns that hinder our relationships with close relatives or hinder authentic communication may need to be released. The ruler is in the second house, and so that would be about being honest with yourself around your money and your resources and your talents and your self-worth. That will definitely play into that eclipse for you, Leo risings. Okay, then we have, moving right along, dun, 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 Virgo rising. This is going to be taking place in your second house. And that is the blind spot here for you guys is personal finances, your talents, your self-worth. There is this falling away of the stories that you've held around that. So when we said earlier, pattern interrupt, time and space get into this dramatic time and space quantum leap that eclipses provide. Where it will happen for you guys is regarding your second house, the things that are important to you, material possessions, how you derive self-esteem from them. All of this is up for a lot of change. The ruler is in your first house. So this would regard where the access would be is involving your health, your physical appearance, your personality. I would say certainly your health. You want to be honest with yourself regarding your finances. There's a practical, efficient discernment that is being called here with money and with your health. Okay. Next, Libra risings. This is going to be taking place in your angular first house. This is this eclipse could impact your self-identity. This is about releasing old patterns of seeking validation through others. Oh, am I going to offend somebody? What will people think of me? That's a total Libra rising thing. With the ruler in the 12th house, we're looking at releasing, here we are, Venus in Virgo. The 12th house is the house of self-undoing. It's the house where we sabotage ourselves. So this could involve releasing, say, past life karma, unconscious patterns of self-sabotage, of needing to be perfect, this unconscious driven need that we, if you want to go into evolutionary astrology, it's like the karma and the things that we carry over from previous lifetimes where we were too hard on ourselves or too critical of others, and we are, you know, clearing that karma, clearing that miasm. So this feeling that you got to do everything, there's a correct way and I have to do it correctly. Yeah, right. So self-criticism, or the need, the unconscious need that there is something called a correct way, and then unraveling that. That's a delusion, you know, that there is no one way or correct way to live life. It can also speak to codependent patterns of relating, being the caregiver in relationships with codependency or dysfunction. You know, there's helping people and then there's enabling. So this eclipse could provide you with a very clear picture of where one ends and the other begins. I would say too, releasing the savior-martyr relationship pattern that can be very much the feeling in the 12th house, because it's like the house where we're shipwrecked and we feel like we have to survive. And it might look like being a savior-martyr for ourselves or others. And so this gives us an opportunity to see that really clearly. Going your own way, you know, with this being in the first house, this is about, what was that, the song from Fleetwood Mac, the Rumors album. I remember when that came out, it was called You Can Go Your Own Way, Go Your Own Way. Well, that's another signal song for this eclipse, right? Especially with the Libra risings. Interestingly enough, I did some research when the Rumors album was produced and written, or that song was written. It was when Venus was in the South Node, was in Taurus, and Venus, ruler, South Node ruler, Venus, right? The letting go of relationships. And there it was, you can go your own way. And so that eclipse cycle, very interesting how you can, again, see these patterns from the past. Let's see. Okay, next one. Dun, 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 dun. And we have Scorpio. So Scorpio rising. Excuse me. Let me pull up my Scorpio rising. This is going to be in your 12th house. This regards this eclipse being about the subconscious matters, hidden matters. This eclipse might prompt you to release old emotional baggage around relationships, about feeling like you got to be the one who is the fixer or the caregiver. And that can be it's wonderful to be in service, but it's about not feeling like you can be yourself. You have to, this enormous sense of sacrifice and like a loss of agency. It can also speak to addictions and codependency patterns of self-sabotage. With the Venus in the 11th house, that could be about these patterns, observing and noticing these patterns with friends and peers and people in your groups and group organizations. Are you the savior and martyr with your friends? Are you caregiving? Are you over caregiving? Are you compromising your own self and authenticity in order to please somebody else? Can that feel draining? Yes, there could be people who take advantage, who are like, you know, take energy vampire. So this is where we have to stop playing nicey nice and to really, we'll get clear with this eclipse on that difference. Okay, let's see, how are we doing here? Sag, you Sag risings, this is going to be in your 11th house, which is tribe. 11th house is about friendships and group affiliations and one's colleagues and peers. And so there's these major endings with the ways of being and the mechanisms by which we relate to people in our tribe or community. You might need to release outdated concepts or ways of behavior around friends, tribes, groups, social networks, or maybe just how you support your friends, how you support your tribe. how they support you. So there's new ways of being coming on board. They're calling out to be embraced. Venus with the ruler being in the 10th house, a changing career could also be involved. Okay. And that brings us to the full circle. Yay. All right. So, yeah, I think we kind of covered everything, and I hope that's really all I have to say. So again, take it really easy, keep praying for everybody, world peace, creating a high vibe world. Remember, things that we think about and focus come into manifestation now with that increase in consciousness. So be really discerning, Venus and Virgo, right? Be discerning no matter where this is in your chart, the discernment with our words and our thoughts. And love as service. Sometimes it's charitable to say nothing. So anyway, okay, that's all I got for you. Again, much love to you all. And if you have any questions or anything, just please do like, share, subscribe. We are so grateful. Yay, we're over 1,000. Yay. And we will see you soon. We do have Andrea coming back for the lunar eclipse, and S.J. Anderson. We're going to be talking some very exciting subjects coming up. So I'll keep you posted. Plus other guests coming on board. Oh, and Erin. Erin is not confirmed 100%, Erin Reese, but I definitely want her back. We need you, Erin. So, all right, everybody, big love, and we'll talk to you soon. This is Irlianna Samsara, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Namaste.